Congratulations, you're pregnant. Hearing those words made me smile so big, I could barely hold it in. After all the effort, it had finally paid off. Holding the test results, I headed home, feeling light and happy. I never thought men could be trusted, but I didn't want to be completely alone in life either. So, I decided to have a child who would be mine alone. I wanted to show my child the world and give them all my love. Just thinking about the little life growing inside me, a child connected to me by blood, made me feel giddy. As soon as I got home, the smell of food filled the air, making my stomach growl. Vincent might be blind, but he has an amazing sense of hearing. The moment he heard me at the door, he came over, feeling his way toward me. "Monica, you're back." "Hi." He leaned in to hug me, but I gently pushed him away, worried he might accidentally hurt the baby. "I've been out all day. Let me take a quick shower and change." "All right." As I passed the dining table, I noticed it was covered with all my favorite foods. Since Vincent couldn't see, he definitely didn't make it himself. "Takeout?" I asked casually. Yeah. Not bad. I'll be quick." "Okay." Vincent was someone I picked up off the street. Sure, picking up random men isn't the best idea these days, but he was so beautiful it felt unreal. That night, I was walking home through a dark alley, and I heard faint, painful moans coming from inside. Something made me go take a look. There he was, Vincent. He was lying there, battered and bruised, struggling in the muddy grime. Even in that miserable state, I couldn't miss how stunning he was. Originally, I just wanted to play the hero and call for an ambulance, but he grabbed my wrist before I could. His pale, handsome face held a vulnerability that struck me to the core. "Don't call anyone, please, help me," he pleaded. "I can repay you. Just help me. I'm not usually one to meddle in other people's business, but I have a weakness for beauty. A guy this pretty, even covered in bruises, probably wasn't a threat, right?" So, I brought him home. Most of his injuries eventually healed, except for his eyes, which remained sightless. At first, Vincent couldn't handle the reality of his blindness. He was trapped in a deep self-loathing, shutting himself in the corner of the guest room all day. He wouldn't talk, wouldn't eat, as if he were waiting to die. Like a withered tree with no hope. I hadn't signed up to take care of a stranger, or to end up with a beautiful future corpse in my house. So, I let him have it. "If you want to die, go lie down in the middle of a busy street. At least that'll get you to heaven faster. Don't drag me into it. Who are you putting on this sad act for, huh? The ones who hurt you are still out there free. And you're here wallowing in self-pity. Don't you owe it to your family, to those who love you, to stay alive? Weren't you the one who begged me to save you, who said you'd repay me? Vincent, if you're a man, start acting like it. Keep this up, and I'll throw you out. My house isn't a dumping ground." After that, I don't know if he finally came to his senses, or if my yelling snapped him out of it. But he started living again. He began talking to me, asking for a phone and a computer, determined not to be useless. He took it upon himself to memorize the layout of the house. Although he bumped into things from time to time, he at least ventured out of the guest room and started engaging with his surroundings. One day, I walked in on him typing at a rapid pace on the computer, and I was shocked. I thought he couldn't see. Vincent's eyes were blank, his face calm. I know where every letter and symbol is on the keyboard, and I use voice prompts for everything else. In just a month, he'd adapted to everything around him. It was as if he were living here like any other person. He even started doing some cleaning and ordering takeout. I had to admit, his ability to learn was impressive. Watching Vincent, I started to think he'd make a great donor for my project. First of all, Vincent was gorgeous. I wouldn't have brought him home if he weren't so striking. Secondly, he had no bad habits, no smoking or drinking. Even during his roughest moments, he just sat quietly, lost in thought. And he was disciplined. Despite his blindness, he woke up early to exercise every day, putting the treadmill I'd left and used for years to good use. Most importantly, he was smart. He picked things up quickly and thought clearly. Whenever I mentioned work issues, he casually offered insights that were practical and useful. I didn't know much about Vincent's background, but I could tell from our time together that he came from a well-off family. It was just a mystery how he ended up in that alley. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that he could give me a child. A child who would be mine alone. With that goal in mind, I launched my baby-making plan. I toned down my temper, softened my approach around him. Since he couldn't see, I'd casually touch him now and then. At first, Vincent was shy and reserved, even holding his hand made him blush. But after that one night, when things got a little out of hand, there was no going back. Sometimes, I wondered if I was too deep in the act or if I was actually starting to care for him. After all, I'd been happy with him around. But now that I'd finally reached my goal, it was time for us to go our separate ways. After dinner, Vincent smoothly loaded the dishes into the dishwasher and then started feeling his way over to wash some fruit. Even though he couldn't see, he'd been living here for over half a year and probably knew the place just as well as I did by now. I had my own career, and work kept me busy at all hours. I usually relied on takeout. So it wasn't until Vincent came along that there was any real sense of home. I watched him carefully put the dishes away, arrange the fruit, and even wipe down the countertop. I had to admit he was naturally domestic. But men are just unreliable. I smiled. It's takeout, no need to go all out with the presentation. And now you have to clean it up too. Vincent just smiled back. Even takeout should feel a bit special. He brought over the plate of fruit, found my hand, and gently pressed a cherry to my lips. I took a bite. It was fresh, plump, and surprisingly sweet. Suddenly, he leaned in and kissed me, the cherry's taste mixing with his, making my head spin a little. Is it sweet? He murmured. Yes. Really sweet. This man was dangerously irresistible. Encouraged, he picked up another cherry and leaned closer. But as I felt his grip around my waist tighten, his breath hot by my ear, I panicked. I couldn't risk anything happening to the baby during these first few months. I pushed him away. I can't. Monica, don't you like it when I'm close? It's not that. I'm just not feeling well today, so. I'd rather not. All right. Even with his blank stare, his disappointment was obvious. I looked at him listening quietly to the radio, feeling at a bit of a loss. Vincent was naturally reserved. Back when I was trying to get pregnant, I'd had to pull out all the stops to get him close. But it had only been a few months, and now the guy who used to blush just holding hands was insatiable. Men really are fickle. But now that I was pregnant, I didn't need him anymore. I smoothed out my clothes, already trying to figure out how to let him go. I didn't know much about his past or family, and he still couldn't see. Dropping him suddenly would be heartless. But I'd always known what I wanted, and I wasn't about to change my mind because of a few kind words or gestures. I ran a hand over my still flat belly and reminded myself, this thing between him and me, it's over. 4. Monica. I think there's something strange with my eyes. Oh? Like what? This morning, I thought I could see a faint white light. It was blurry and didn't last long, but it felt real. So, maybe that means there's a chance you'll regain your sight? Maybe. I thought about it. This might be an opportunity. How about this tomorrow morning? I'll take you to get it checked out. Vincent's hand tightened around mine. That sounds good. If I can see again. The first person I want to lay eyes on is you. He gently traced his fingers along my face, from my forehead to my nose, down to my lips, my chin, and then my earlobe. His gaze hadn't changed, it was as blank as ever. But somehow, in that moment, his eyes felt full of deep affection. I pinched my leg under the table. Monica. Don't fall for that pretty face. You've gotten what you wanted. All I needed from him was the baby. 5. Early the next morning, I took Vincent to the hospital for his examination. The results confirmed it. This was indeed a sign he could regain his vision. With a simple surgery, Vincent's sight would be fully restored. I was genuinely happy for him. If he could see, he'd be much more self-sufficient. That would make it easier to leave him behind without too much guilt weighing on me. And with my escape plan already in motion, it felt almost perfect. Sweetheart, when you come out of surgery, you'll be able to see me. That's amazing, Monica. I've pictured you in my mind so many times. I'll finally get to see you for real. Vincent hugged me tightly. His excitement and my sudden panic tangled together. And in his warm embrace, I almost couldn't breathe. That same day, I helped him check into the hospital, arranged the surgery date, and took care of him patiently for a few days. Sweet words and gentle gestures came easily. After all, these were our final moments together, I might as well be kind. When I finally watched him being wheeled into the operating room and saw the red and surgery light switch on, I quietly said my goodbye to Vincent in my mind. Goodbye, Vincent. 6. I had already booked my flight to Bali, so I flew there the same day. To quickly sever ties, I sent Vincent an email, expressing my sincere well wishes and telling him that we would never meet again in this life. I also transferred him some money as a breakup fee. Finally, I happily blocked all his contact information and began my pregnancy retreat with peace of mind. People who are carefree are always happier. My mom was right about that. Bali, surrounded by the sea, with its perfect temperature and clear skies, was like a natural sanctuary for well-being. I ordered a luxury wellness package for the early stages of pregnancy, with specially designed meals from a nutritionist 3 times a day, regular full-body checkups, and personalized care plans. Though I didn't have a man by my side, I had money, and that meant I could buy the best service and care. The first 3 months of pregnancy weren't easy on me, but luckily, there was a professional medical team here, and the stunning views had a healing effect. I was living quite happily. Once I made it through the risky first trimester, I leisurely began planning my return. But then, a phone call from my assistant broke my good mood. What? Rent increase? Why? I couldn't believe it. We'd been working with them for so long, how could they suddenly raise the rent? My assistant Lily was just as confused. I heard their corporate headquarters changed owners. The new boss is decisive, ruthless, and cleaned house as soon as he took over. He's already reassigned several key players. And now everyone at Sunset Group is on edge. They say when a new boss comes in, they light 3 fires. The first 2 were directed internally at the company, and now the last one's burning us. What about Mr. Smith, the one we work with all the time? I went to visit him. My assistant's voice was full of frustration. Mr. Smith, who used to greet us with a huge grin, now sees me and turns around to run. I quickly reassured her, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll head back tomorrow. Because of this sudden change, I had to cut my pregnancy retreat short and return to New York. After all, while I had money, I couldn't let it get in the way of making more. The air in New York was damp, and the air quality wasn't as good as Hong Kong's. As soon as I got off the plane, I sneezed 3 times in a row. I felt sticky and uncomfortable all over. As if someone was watching me in the shadows. It was a strange, unsettling feeling. What's wrong with you? Lily asked. Nothing, just adjusting to the plane ride. Now, tell me about what's going on with the company. I owned several large supermarkets, and the commercial property I leased was from Sunset Group. Now, they suddenly raised the rent, which was a significant, unexpected cost for us. I reached out to the person I'd always dealt with. But I was met with cold refusals. I was left feeling confused. We'd always had a good working relationship, why was I being shut out all of a sudden? Had I offended someone? But I, Monica, wasn't the type to give up easily. since the problem stemmed from the newly appointed president of Sunset. I decided to pay him a visit myself. You don't know how things will turn out until you face them head-on. There was no way I'd back down right away. The next morning, I showed up at the lobby of Sunset Group's headquarters. The receptionist, hearing I wanted to see the president and hadn't made an appointment, politely refused to let me in. After being turned away so many times recently, I was getting frustrated. Just as I was about to resort to finding someone I knew to help me get in, a group of well-dressed business professionals walked by. I took a closer look, and the man at the front, wasn't that Vincent? I stared at him, but he didn't even glance my way, as if I was a total stranger. Of course, he'd never seen me before, and to him, I was just another unknown face. But why did my heart feel a little uneasy? Like something was off? When the group passed by, I couldn't help but ask the receptionist, who was the man walking at the front. "That's our president," she answered with a smile. Wait, what? The world was that small? I suddenly felt a rush of emotions. If I'd known he was so wealthy, I should have blackmailed him for a large sum, not given him money. What a fool I was. I was hesitating when I spotted Smith, the manager of the real estate department, walking by. I quickly reminded myself of my purpose here. There was no time to get distracted by emotions. I moved decisively toward him. When Smith saw me, he hesitated, but he still gave me a little courtesy. After all, my supermarket had been in business for 5 years, and he'd certainly received his share of kickbacks over the years. Smith's plump face looked conflicted as he said, "Monica, it's not that I don't want to help, but I'm just a small fry here." He gestured upward and lowered his voice. "The group has gone through a major change in the past 2 months. The new boss is ruthless. He's a real, don't blink while killing kind of person. I honestly can't afford to offend him. I'm just trying to keep my position." I could understand his predicament. But understanding didn't mean I was going to pay more money. "Here's the deal. You take me to see him, I'll handle it myself. It won't involve you. No matter the result, I'll try my best." Okay, Smith said reluctantly. He led me into the CEO's office, grumbling under his breath. I spotted Vincent from a distance, standing at the center of attention. Smith quietly introduced him to me. "Our CEO, Mr. Vincent, studied abroad a while ago. The former CEO got sick, and Vincent was suddenly appointed as his successor. This guy is tough. He's got a dark face and an even darker heart. Monica, even though you're a beautiful woman, don't think you'll get away easy. There are plenty of girls who've been scolded to tears by him recently. You better be careful." I thought to myself, studied abroad? Nice try. When he was hiding away in a corner, I don't think anyone had been scolding anyone. "He's coming." Smith suddenly stood up straight, retreating quietly, and whispered, "Monica, I'm leaving you to handle this. I've done my part. Good luck." And with that, he actually ran off, short legs moving quickly. Men really can't be trusted. In the critical moment, it's up to me. I flashed a big smile, showing all 8 teeth, and walked up confidently. "Mr. Vincent, hello. I'm the head of Happy Family Supermarket. Sorry. Please step aside. Mr. Vincent does not accept unscheduled visits. I just need 2 minutes." I had finally gotten this close. I couldn't let this opportunity slip away. I pushed forward, but the tall assistant blocked me firmly. In my rush, I tripped over a nearby decoration and nearly fell. As I instinctively protected my belly, my face turned pale with panic. Just when I thought I might lose my balance, a strong, steady arm grabbed me tightly, supporting my waist. It wasn't until I finally stood still that I heard a faint sigh above me. Could it be? Had he recognized me all along? 9. As I felt the arm around my waist about to pull away, I instinctively grabbed onto it. I pleaded once more, "Mr. Vincent, please, just 2 minutes of your time." The female secretary beside him was staring intently at my hand, and something about her gaze felt less than friendly. Sure enough, With a smile, she said, "Mr. Vincent, Mr. James is still waiting for you." I quickly responded, "Mr. Vincent, I can wait. Just let me know when it's convenient for you. I won't take up too much of your time." Finally, Vincent looked directly at me. His eyes held a complex mix of emotions, ones I couldn't quite understand. There was condemnation, anger, frustration, resentment, and an undercurrent of something deeper. I felt an inexplicable sense of panic under his gaze, but I couldn't back down when there was something to be gained. I stared right back at him, my resolve unshakable. After a moment of intense silence, he let out a quiet sigh. "Let this lady wait for me in the private lounge next to my office." Okay. I felt the assistant's shock in that brief pause. But I managed to suppress my own surprise. At least one thing was confirmed. Now, all that was left was to wait. Looking around the lounge, I noticed it was quite well equipped, with fruits, drinks, and snacks available. The cherries on the coffee table caught my attention, their rich red color somehow making my chest tighten. The past, which I had tried so hard to ignore, seemed to begin festering in the quiet of the room. Thoughts and emotions creeping in unexpectedly. I let my mind wander, eventually losing myself to sleep. When I woke up again, I found myself in a warm embrace, a pair of rough hands resting gently on my belly, stroking it carefully. I jolted awake, panic rushing through me. "What are you doing? Stop fooling around. You think I haven't fooled around with you before?" He had recognized me already. What a man of deep scheming. I let out a cold laugh. "Vincent? Mr. Vincent from Sunset Group? Quite the man of many identities, aren't you?" Monica, the head of Happy Family Supermarket, and Monica, the cashier from the supermarket. My identities don't compare to yours, do they? I pushed his arm away from my waist. "Was this your plan all along? Raising the rent just to get me to come find you?" "Yes." "How shameless can you be? If I didn't do it this way, would you have kept avoiding me?" I was momentarily speechless, because honestly, that was exactly what I had been planning to do. Vincent gently stroked my belly, his tone cold and biting. "You promised that once I came out of the operating room, I'd be able to see you. So, where are you now? Monica, you're carrying my child, and you still deliberately leave me. What's your plan, to become a single mother?" "Yes." I nodded firmly. "That's exactly my plan. This is my child, and it has nothing to do with you." "How can it have nothing to do with me? This is also my child." "What's yours?" "You contributed a little sperm, and what else did you do?" I said, anger rising within me. "Besides, weren't you also enjoying the process of creating this child? I carried this child for 10 months. I'm the one connected to him by blood. He will be my flesh and blood. My son. He's my child." Vincent's words were filled with rage. My words further infuriated him. His eyes twisted with fury, his face a contorted mask of anger. "Monica, don't you think you're going too far? All the kindness you showed me, was it just for a child? All those little gestures, that care, it was all just to—" I replied calmly, "Yes, from the beginning, all I wanted was the child." I sighed. Then got back to the point. "Mr. Vincent, I came here to discuss the rent issue, not to talk about personal matters. It's working hours now, and your mixing of business and personal is really frustrating." Vincent couldn't help but laugh in frustration. "All right, so you want to talk business?" he mocked. "Our group and Happy Family Supermarket have been working together for 5 years. And we've never raised the rent. But your business has been expanding, and our property management costs have gone up. Raising the rent is reasonable. Plus, another supermarket is interested in that spot and is willing to pay more in rent. Monica, we're both businessmen. If there's money to be made, it's only logical to take it, right?" The logic made sense, but it still pissed me off. I forced a smile, trying to stay calm. "Mr. Vincent, The other supermarket doesn't have the same quality control we do, nor do they have our brand recognition. Their foot traffic will be much lower. If you raise the rent and force us out, it'll affect your other business as well. Not necessarily, Vincent said coldly, his eyes sharp and calculating. From the data that came from the business department, it seems to me that the shops under Sunset are the ones helping drive traffic to your supermarket. I was at a loss for words. Before I could respond, the door swung open. Vincent's secretary entered, frowning when she saw me, though she quickly put on a smile. "Mr. Chen is here," she announced. I glanced at her, then changed my approach. Was she trying to establish some kind of dominance here? But then again, I didn't have any real relationship with Vincent. "Mr. Vincent," I began, "I know you're very busy, so I just wanted to know what I could do to change your mind and maintain the current rent." Vincent stared at me intently. "Come to dinner with me tonight, and I'll tell you." With that, he turned and walked out with his secretary. He just left. Watching his cold, indifferent back, my anger flared. What a piece of work. I turned on my heel and walked out. There were always other ways. If this path didn't work, I'd find another one. 11. After giving it some thought, I decided not to argue with Vincent over the rent issue anymore. If the rent really became too high and affected our operations, then my supermarket would most likely have to consider relocating. Nowadays, online stores are thriving, so why not switch to an e-commerce model? Instead of paying for prime real estate, I could rent a logistics-friendly warehouse and focus on an online platform. The more I thought about it, the more feasible it seemed. I immediately started putting together a plan for launching an online store. I became so absorbed in the work that I lost track of time. It wasn't until my stomach growled that I remembered I hadn't been paying attention to my child. I gently placed my hand on my belly and smiled softly, "Baby, you must be hungry. Let's go get you something good to eat." I quickly tidied up and was about to head out when I opened the door and nearly jumped out of my skin. "What are you doing standing at my door, scaring me in the middle of the night?" I snapped. Vincent's face was grim, his eyes slightly red, looking like an abandoned puppy. "Monica, you really don't want to see me, do you? Didn't you and I discuss everything like business partners? I've come to terms with it. If the rent is really too high, we'll just move the supermarket. If that doesn't work, I'll shut it down. Honestly, I make enough money now, and I can easily raise my child." Vincent stared at me with eyes full of pain. "Monica, do you really have to be this heartless? You know that if you just soften a little, I'll give you everything you want." "Why should I soften? Forget the child for now business-wise. I haven't done anything wrong. It's you who's making things difficult." Vincent sighed, his voice weary and resigned. "Monica, let's not fight. Can we just make up?" I stared at him in surprise. Wasn't he supposed to be the ruthless, decisive president of Sunset, the one who never flinched? Right now, he looked more like a dog abandoned by its owner. I restrained my emotions and replied calmly, "Vincent, I'm not into marriage. I admit I used you to have the child, but I also saved you. We're square now, aren't we? As for the rent, I'll still try my best to negotiate for the current terms, but if Sunset insists on raising it, then we'll have to find another way. It's getting late. You should go." I reached for the door to close it, but Vincent was quick, his hand blocking it. He glared at me angrily, "Monica, you're being unfair. Who says we're done just because you say we are? I don't accept that. I'm telling you, this isn't over between us." Vincent stormed off, his back a picture of solitude. Watching him leave, I felt a heavy, suffocating feeling in my chest. After all, he was my first man. And during that time, we really were happy. But that happiness, built on so many lies and secrets, wasn't enough to make me believe in a man again. Let alone enter into a marriage. I didn't see any hint of marital happiness in the women around me. Instead, I saw the ugliness and selfishness in every man. So, all I wanted was a child, but no man. My mother was beautiful and the object of admiration since childhood. Unfortunately, her youth was clouded by love. And she married my unreliable father. My father was sensitive and insecure. He won my mother's affection with his love, but began to withdraw it after marriage. Even her beauty became something he secretly feared. He was afraid of losing her, so he started to suppress her. At first, it was just verbal abuse, but one day, when my mother wore a beautiful red dress, he couldn't hold back and hit her. My mother was the bravest and most independent woman I've ever known. She knew domestic violence had only two outcomes, zero or endless. Even if it meant going to court, she was willing to divorce him. My mother took me with her, but she became the object of criticism from relatives who didn't understand her choices. Couples fight and make up. Why divorce over something so small? Don't think you can still play around when you're young. Once you're divorced, you're no longer valuable and will only be left to marry an old man. Monica is still small. You're being selfish, not thinking about the child. The women who said this to my mother were also miserable in their marriages. My grandmother spent her whole life serving my grandfather, but he never gave her any affection. Even at the end of his life, he was still pining for his first love. My second aunt's husband cheated, and she had to help the mistress with an abortion. My eldest aunt's husband was a mama's boy, always hiding in the background while his wife and mother argued constantly over trivial things, causing constant turmoil at home. They were all unhappy but blamed my mother for not enduring the pain. It was absurd. My mother, tired of their ill-informed advice, took me to New York to work. She was beautiful and a savvy businesswoman. She used her savings to open a small supermarket with high-quality goods at affordable prices, which quickly became popular with the neighbors. After making money, she opened a clothing store. With her sharp eye for fashion, the store flourished, and her income soared. Because my mother knew how to make money, I never had to struggle in life. In fact, I was quite well off materially. She would often take me on trips, visit museums, and attend concerts. She would buy me beautiful dresses and teach me to appreciate myself and enjoy life. She showed me the world, introduced me to fine food, and taught me to seek the truth. She told me that a woman could succeed on her own. My mother and I were not just parent and child, but also best friends, sharing everything with each other. In her, I found the happiness and fulfillment I longed for. She was the person I wanted to become. Unfortunately, good things don't last. 2 years ago, my mother passed away due to illness. Before she left, she asked me to carefully dress her. She wanted to leave the world in elegance and beauty. On the night before she passed, she held my hand, gazing at me with tenderness, and told me that the luckiest thing in her life was having me. Because of my own experiences, I believe men cannot be relied on, but I still want a child, just like my mother did. It would be wonderful to have a daughter. I could dress her up beautifully, show her the world's wonders, and let her enjoy the beauty of life. At the same time, I would have someone to care for, someone to give my love to. Because she would be my child. My connection to the world. Half asleep, I was jolted awake by the blaring ring of my phone. On the other end, Lily's voice was practically vibrating with excitement. Monica, Sunset contacted us to sign the renewal contract. What's the point if they've raised the rent? They said they won't. They're keeping it as is. Her voice pitched with delight. And they specifically requested you go in person to sign. All right, got it. I hung up. Then lay back in bed for a bit longer, muttering to myself, at least they have a bit of a conscience. When I arrived at Sunset, everything went smoothly. Right as I walked into the lobby, I spotted Vincent's strikingly glamorous secretary waiting for me. Miss Monica, right? This way, please. She led me to the exclusive elevator reserved for the CEO. In the close confines of the elevator, her perfume was overpowering, nearly dizzying me. I heard that because Miss Monica helped Vincent out, the terms of the renewal remain the same. You're lucky, aren't you? She said it with a gleam in her eye. He's just taken over, and now's the time for him to make big moves. But here he is, getting distracted by something so trivial. It's really, well, Vincent's a deeply sentimental person. Even after everything his brother put him through, he still spared him some mercy. I had no idea what she was rambling about. Yet seeing my confusion seemed to embolden her further. Vincent's had a tough climb to get where he is. Do you know anything about his past, Miss Monica? No, I don't, I replied honestly, then added, but what does that have to do with me? I looked her squarely in the eye. I'm not sure why you're telling me all this. But if I wanted to know, I'd ask him myself. Something about her triggered an unexpected competitive streak in me. I flashed her a calm smile and said, I'm sure he'd be happy to tell me personally all about his past. The elevator arrived, and I stepped out ahead of her. Finally free of the perfume, I took a deep breath, feeling my head clear. When I arrived in the conference room, Vincent was already there. He calmly handed me the contract. Take a look. I glanced over it, but the more I read, the wider my eyes got. You even lowered the rent for us? Oh, you really didn't have to be so generous. Vincent's expression barely shifted, though I thought I caught a slight twitch in his cheek at my overly gleeful reaction. You're raising a child, after all, he said. As the child's father, I can't let the mother of my child struggle too much. With a bright smile, I patted my belly. I am the mother, that's true, and I'm certainly raising this child, but please, don't force yourself to play the role of father. That would make things complicated. Still, I am very happy about the rent reduction. For my little one, thank you very much. Vincent clenched his jaw. You're very welcome. I went through the contract twice, just to make sure everything was in order, then signed it with a happy flourish. What had started as an unexpected challenge had taken an interesting turn. While the process felt odd, the result was undeniably good. With a smile, I handed the signed contract back to him. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. I look forward to working together. Vincent took the opportunity to grasp my hand. It's nothing. How about dinner to celebrate, Monica? Well, after giving you this great deal, I didn't expect to miss out on at least one dinner, he said with a wry smile. Of course not. I was just deciding where I should take you. Vincent's smile was faintly amused. Then I'll have to thank you. Vincent led me to a restaurant that looked upscale enough to make my wallet nervous, and without even glancing at the menu, he started ordering dish after dish. I suspected he was planning to take advantage of me here. Then, a rich, creamy mushroom soup was brought to our table, and I instantly felt queasy. Oh my. I think I'm going to be sick. Vincent quickly reached out to steady me. Are you feeling that bad? Waiter, take this dish away immediately. As he gently patted my back, he murmured regretfully. I remember you used to love the food from this place. You especially liked this soup. When did I ever? Oh, was it the takeout? Yes. My goodness. No wonder I'd thought Vincent's takeout had tasted so delicious it was from a place like this. I let out a sigh. You really are quite the prince, aren't you? Can't have my princess suffering, now, can I? Enough with the sweet talk. Vincent sighed, his tone shifting to something more serious. Monica. I'm serious. I truly care about you. No, you're letting gratitude for saving your life get confused with love. It's not necessarily real love, maybe you're just feeling grateful. Vincent's gaze sharpened. Monica, I'm almost 30 years old. Do you think I can't tell the difference between gratitude and love? Yes, I do. Vincent looked ready to explode at my stubbornness, but instead, he just rubbed his temples, frustrated. Monica. Can you try to be fair with me? You can't just barge into my heart and then walk away like it's nothing. And you can't use your parents' failed marriage as a reason to dismiss marriage entirely, and then sentence me without trial. I put my chopsticks down, glaring at him coldly. You investigated me. You're a big part of my life. Do you think I wouldn't worry? I didn't know what you looked like or even your full name. After the surgery, you disappeared. All I had was an email and severance payment. Do you know how furious I was? If I hadn't gotten the hospital to release security footage, I'd have no idea what you looked like. When I found out you were in Bali resting, I wanted to fly to you immediately, but I was tied down by family and business. And a brother who's out for my blood. I was afraid I'd put you at risk if I came. But I wanted to see you. For 3 whole months. You didn't call, didn't say a single word, just wrote that it was over, and that we'd never meet again. Monica, I'm a man with pride. But when it comes to you, I couldn't let go. That's why, once I settled things, I used every means I could to bring you back. I never intended to make things hard for you. If you'd treat me fairly, I'd gladly hand you those buildings outright. Sipping my vegetable soup, I shrugged. My mother always told me not to believe sweet words from men. That's exactly where she went wrong. Vincent looked almost defeated, as if he'd finally met his match in my mother. Switching tactics now, huh? From pressure to persuasion? Monica, am I really so untrustworthy in your eyes? Not exactly. I wiped my mouth, looking at him directly. It's just that I don't believe in men. That evening, Vincent and I talked for hours about my family and the struggles he'd gone through in the past. I felt like nothing had really changed between us, but he seemed to think I was giving him a chance. Whatever. At the end of the day, he's still the client. But the man truly took advantage of every inch I gave. The moment I agreed to let him come along for my prenatal checkups, he claimed the role of father without hesitation. Soon enough, he shamelessly moved into the apartment directly across from mine. Monica, I know you're still adjusting to the idea of the baby having a father, but I have the right to be involved and to take care of the mother, too, right? I could tell he was trying to get his way, but I struggled to come up with a solid reason to refuse him. Now Vincent had fully shifted strategies. Gone were the grand gestures and ultimatums, he was all about the long game. Serving up sugar-coated artillery in the form of constant care and attention. Every day, he'd have the restaurant deliver freshly prepared, nutritious meals to my door. He remembered every dietary restriction and pregnancy guideline better than I did, reminding me of appointments 2 days in advance and stopping by often with offers of massages. I was skeptical of his intentions, but pregnancy really was exhausting, and his massages, well, they were undeniably good. One day, we got a bit carried away with the massage. Afterward, he wrapped me in his arms and, out of nowhere, produced a ring the size of a small egg, proposing to me. I couldn't help but be tempted by the sparkle of that massive diamond. Can I decline the proposal, but keep the ring? Are you listening to yourself? Fine, never mind. It's not like I can't buy my own diamonds anyway. Vincent sighed. Clearly at the end of his patience. He took my hand and gently slid the ring onto my finger. The ring is yours. If you say no, I'll just propose again another time. When you propose again, will it be with a diamond this big? I might have money, but I do love a good shiny rock. Vincent looked almost resigned. If the diamond's bigger, will you say yes? I answered truthfully, to be honest, not necessarily. He exhaled a long, deep sigh. Forget it. Let's get some rest. I guess I'm just unlucky to fall for such a hard-hearted woman. I snuggled closer, glancing up at him. It's not that I'm heartless. I just don't have faith in marriage. But do you have any faith in me? I fell silent, not sure how to answer. People change, after all. I'd seen my father treat my mother like she was his whole world, only to turn on her later. I'd seen too many examples of women hurt in the name of love. It's already hard enough for women in a family, and I built a life for myself without relying on a man. So why enter a marriage? Trying to keep the mood light, I said, you don't have to be so anxious. There's this modern trend of new age partnerships. We could just raise the kid together without actually getting married. Isn't that ideal? What? We'd have a kid, but no marriage license. We'd share responsibility for raising them. If anything ever happens to us, our child can inherit from both sides. And the best part is, if you ever hurt me, it's assault, not domestic violence. I could sue. It's great, don't you think? I watched Vincent's face turn several shades darker. Why would I ever hurt you? What kind of person do you think I am? I have no idea. I replied with a big yawn. Who can predict the future? Vincent tightened his hold around me. Monica, I know you have reservations about marriage. I won't push you or pressure you. I'll show you, through my actions, that I'm someone you can trust. Curled in his arms, I quietly closed my eyes, saying nothing more. But a faint smile crept onto my lips. Almost against my will. For years later, today is my little angel Nemo's first day of preschool. It's also the day for his first school photo. I had secretly hoped for a little girl, but instead, I got a beautiful baby boy. Though I was a tad disappointed at first, Vincent was ecstatic, holding our son by my hospital bed, tears streaming down his face as he clasped my hand. To this day, Vincent and I still haven't officially tied the knot. Despite this, Vincent hasn't missed a single duty as a husband or father. Just as I was snapping a few pictures, Vincent hurried over, taking a moment to adjust his tie. I couldn't help but chuckle at the sight of him dressed to the nines. You're a bit overdressed, don't you think? I teased. Well, I never got to take wedding photos with you, so I've got to make this family photo count. He replied with a grin. Besides, it's my son's big day, I'm not about to embarrass him. I rolled my eyes. Where did this competitive streak come from? Daddy? Nemo called, stretching out his arms for a hug. Vincent scooped him up and kissed him, then whispered something in Nemo's ear. What are you two whispering about? Daddy said to ask when you and he are getting married. Nemo announced with a mischievous grin. I laughed awkwardly. Vincent was clearly changing tactics, now recruiting little allies from my side. But it didn't take much to win over my little recruit one lollipop, and he was cheerfully spilling the plan. Daddy says all the kids at school have a mommy and daddy who are married. Nemo said, licking his lollipop happily. You have a mommy and daddy too, I pointed out with a smile. Nemo blinked. Processing this for a moment, then beamed, oh yeah. Vincent sighed, shaking his head as his plan to rally support crumbled. With a resigned smile, Vincent hugged Nemo tighter and took my hand. Well, comrade, the revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Time to keep trying. Then he lifted Nemo up onto his shoulders, holding him securely. Ready for a ride, buddy? Yes. Nemo squealed in delight. With Vincent holding him high. Nemo stretched his arms out like he was flying, while Vincent made zooming sounds, spinning him around. Watching them, my heart softened in ways I couldn't ignore. Marriage? Maybe, someday. Come join us. Vincent called, grinning. I smiled back, walking over to join my two boys. Maybe it could wait a little longer. The end.